So in the last episode, we were talking about longevity, which is one important theme that men are asking about. And there is something that is quite close by, another deeply impactful topic, which is virility. And everything to do with longevity, which has to do with one's sexual vitality. And this obviously is a topic that affects men from teenagers all the way through to the very ends of their lives. A lot of people identify with their level of virility very, very strongly. And if that takes a knock, often a sense of self and one's value and who one is in the world takes a knock as well. And this is across cultures. I mean, you've heard the stories about the endangered rhino's horn and the elephant tusk and these kind of species that are hunted in China for being able to give men their virility, and the costs of acquisition and how far men go to pursue these things. And I remember living in Brazil as well, and just the amount of kind of Red Bull and Monster alternatives there were, and the extent that I saw my male friends go to there in order to always be the life of the party and have this indestructible 24-hour energy. Yeah. So one's testosterone, virility, sexual drive, it's a whole topic. And there's a few things I want to touch on in this episode, but the one question we had from Matthias is, have you noticed effects of certain protocols or experiments on your sexual energy and testosterone?
I talked in the last episode about how I take supplements.
Yeah.
I take zinc and something called Tomcat Alley, which I just started taking recently.
Yeah.
Because it's supposed to give you firm like bull. I don't notice any difference because I'm not in tune. But I take it because I read about it, but this is quite a topic. I mean, I had my testosterone checked. I'm 61, and I had it checked last year. And the doctor said, and I don't like getting needles, man. I almost faint. I can't look at it, like getting my blood taken, right? And I went in to get the results, and he said, well, here's the thing. Your testosterone is normal. Or it's your testosterone level of a 30 or 40-year-old is good. Your prostate is like a 30-year-old. He said everything's good, but for some reason you're manufacturing testosterone, or it's cycling through at an incredible high rate. So something's wrong in the test. It's not possible. So we have to take the blood test and do it again. I'm like, okay, yeah. Can I come back tomorrow? And I never went back because I didn't want to get more blood taken. So, but and I don't know what contributes to that testosterone thing for men. Red meat, they say. I have no problem because for me, it's like a woman. It's a mental thing. I get excited mentally, and I know, and I guess it's not fair for me to say that because a lot of guys say, "Well, I do too," but then they have trouble they get erectile dysfunction or something, And here's the thing: everybody gets erectile dysfunction when you're with a woman that you really, really like, and you're all nervous about it, and you can't get it up. That happens. The guys say, "What do I feel like? I feel like I let her down." No, you didn't. I'll tell you what's going on in her mind. You think that she's thinking, "Well, this guy, here I am, I'm ready to go, but he can't get it up, so I'm not going to date him anymore." That's not what happens. You think that's what's happening. That's not what happens. What happens is she's thinking, if she has any experience with men, she goes, "Oh, this happens. Let's go again another time," and she's okay with it. And you're in your head, like internally sweating and thinking, "Oh, I blew it. I didn't. I'm not a wonderful Latin lover for this girl." But the other thing that happens a lot is she thinks it's her. She thinks that I'm not sexy enough. You can't get it. I'm not turning him on. And she gets in her head and thinks that I'm the deficit here. So it's going to happen. Relax. It's going to happen. Laugh it off. The way to do it is laugh it off. Say, hey, things aren't working. Let's have some other fun. And let's go again another time, because another time could be fine.
Yeah.
In general, that's the nervous one. Some guys have a physiological thing, I suppose, And so, I don't know how to address that. Like, there's doctors or there's ideas for that. I'm not sure. Like you said, the rhino horn for centuries, men have been trying to find, how do I get my mojo? How do I get my virility back? And they're trying everything,
Holy Grail.
The Holy Grail. Yeah. Spanish fly was back when I was a kid. You hear about Spanish fly. Ooh, whatever that is. Nobody knows what it is or what it was.
Just on the PE front, there was this happened to me really badly on one occasion, and I was with a woman that I'd just met. It was our first time together, and it probably lasted about a minute. And she said, "Honestly, Jordan, after the way you were talking to me in the bar, I expected a bit more." and in that moment, I burst out laughing, because I strangely I felt kind of triumphant, like, wow, that was a really pathetic showing on my behalf. But how amazing it is that I was so responsive in a way. Like, I was amused, actually, at my own, not really humility, I guess, not really humiliation, but I found a way to laugh, and of course we could do something after that. So I attest to what you say. If you can find it within you, because my sense is much of the P and the ED that I speak to, particularly in the young men, it has to do with their own anxiety. And their own anxiety is you've got a lot of feelings under the surface which you don't want to share, because that would be vulnerable. You want to keep your mask up, but as you keep your mask up and you want to have a good performance, you shut yourself down and you wall yourself off, and then all the anxiety gets stuck, and it's rumbling around underneath this stoic container. And then you've got no real control over the hormonal energy that's moving through your body. So the thing there is really allow the anxiety, allow the vulnerability a little bit. And I mean, this can be a bit of a practice, because often if you're young and you've really not had many partners, the stakes feel really high. Like, if you don't absolutely rock her world, all the stuff we hear in the media now about how many orgasms a woman is supposed to have with a man puts men on this, how am I ever going to measure up? It puts women on this sense of how am I going to measure up? Because I don't know if I can have an orgasm. I just hope that he feels like I'm honest when I'm faking it, and that somehow that will get me through. So the disconnect is enormous. And for me, so much of it is daring to be a bit more vulnerable. And that starts with self-acceptance and a sense of humor about your lackings, or about what doesn't seem to work in that first moment.
Yeah, forgive yourself and say, you know what? Hey, it's easy to say, because we get so tied up and nervous and in our heads, and we worry what she thinks, and we don't know what she's thinking. That's the biggest thing guys have, is they don't know what she's thinking. Did I offend her? Is she okay? Should I call her? They don't know, and it's not their fault. It teaches you how to do that, right?
Do you have, I'm loving this word, protocol. I'm going to come out with this a lot in the next few episodes. Would you recommend a particular protocol? Say you're a young man, early 20s, you've got this girl home you've been pursuing for a while, and you think she's out of your league. You really want to get it right, and you are struggling. Either it's ED or PE in the moment. Do you have a couple of sentences or a posture or something you can fall back on that would be like, just say something a bit like this? Find this stance within yourself, and you'll make it through.
Well, if I were to advise my young self, who would be completely in his head and nervous and not knowing what to do, and am I doing this right, and is she enjoying it? I can't tell. My advice to my young self would be, make it way more fun. Have way more fun. It should be play. You should have a lot of fun and laugh at everything. And make fun of yourself and say, hey, maybe, I don't know. We're trying to do it so serious. We're trying to be this major lover, which is I tell you, when you guys try and be this deep, soul-kissed lover who's going in, and you're going to rock her world, and make her orgasmic waves. And that's, you're setting yourself up for philosophical failure, because you're going to be like in your head and like, I got to perform. If you just have fun, hang on to the ceiling fan and spin around and like play and like spank her and hey, come over here and make it fun, then that kind of pressure's off. So that's how I think it should be. That's me.
We all know about playing fun when it's earlier on in the date, right? But there was always this insane thing that happened to me, which is almost as I crossed the threshold of the bedroom, literally, they have a partition of the door where one bit of carpet and then the next bit. As soon as I would cross that threshold, and especially when the door shut, it was a different space-time where the stakes were different, the atmosphere, it was almost walking into a spooky movie, if I remember it now, where the thing, the adult thing is going to happen. Exactly. So that for me was a place where the fun and the laughter and all that stuff stopped, right? And it switched into something new. So I imagine you're saying performance. There's something that has to be kept as you go through that partition. Like there has to be some element of fun, some way of handling your own. Like for me, it's about my own interior kind of hypnosis. You open and close the bedroom door. The bedroom is a different realm. I enter into a different state, and now I become a different person, or a different person from the one that she signed up for to go to bed with. So
I wrote about that in the Alabaster Girl, Jordan. Exactly that. Look, Alabaster Girl, I have it here. I've printed new covers on the back. I wrote about that in the Alabaster Girl, where we go on, we're fun and playful and engaging and charming on the date, and then second date, and then the third date we have to now somehow turn it on. We have to kind of gesture weakly toward the bedroom. We don't know our move, and like you said, there's a real physical barrier of a veil that you have to go around the other side. Now you're on this side. Now you have to turn into this performance guy.
Yeah. And
man, I'm telling you, like guys talk about the idea of their first kiss. When should I go in for the kiss? When does how do I get her in the mood for the kiss? And I tried doing that too. I remember being in a car one time with this girl, and I was talking away and she was talking away, at the end of our date, and I was dropping her off. So I think talk. And I'm trying to think, how do I get her in the mood? What do I do? And she finally said, are you going to kiss me or are you just going to keep talking? Like, and I had no clue, right? I had no signals that I knew. Mm. And I think, here's me. This is me. This is not medical advice again. It's not any advice. My way of thinking is your first kiss should be on the cheek. That's it there. Your cheek or her cheek. Should be, give me some sugar right here. Oh, wait, here. On your date or whatever. Because it's fun. It breaks the intimacy barrier the same as a kiss on the mouth would do. It puts you not in the friend zone possibility. It puts you in an intimate state already. And it's no pressure on her to be profound, no pressure on you to be profound. You can just, your first kiss should be on the cheek. So if you have the girl at your house, you're sitting on the couch watching Netflix, you should be into her neck and like, hey, come here, I want to tell you something, whisper, and then kiss her on the side of the neck or side of the face. You've just broken that barrier. Now you're intimate. Now she's smoothing up on you. Now she's rubbing up against you, and it's fun. And that, in my thinking is this. The way I've said it before is this. The way I wrote it is this. You might be a lover type that, has that Latino type of musicality of moving in and really being suave and do this. You might have that soul gazing energy. You might love to be deep, kissing, profound, really, wrapped into each other. That might be your love language. It might be what you love, what you want with this woman. In other words, a profound experience. Mm-hmm. And she might want that with you too. She might be the same type of energy. However, what happens is, and I've said this a bunch of times, but it's so real. If you start that way on the date or in sitting on your couch and you go in for this lover boy energy kiss, she's going to go, ooh, this happens in a microsecond, and she's not aware of it. It's a subconscious thing where she's going, oh, wow, this is going to be profound. And I really like him a lot. It's going to be profound. I just broke up with my boyfriend 4 months ago. Am I really ready for another something so deeply moving as this and profound and emotional? Am I ready? And so she gets this little hitch of a hesitation that's imperceptible, but not to him. And so he's like going in for the kiss, and she freezes up a bit because, oh, I want this, but am I ready? And he interprets that as she's distant. She pulled away. I shouldn't have done that. And he gets in his head. She gets in her head. So clogged up. So if you start a relationship, you try and go profound, soul gazing, kissy guy, you can't go back to being fun and energetic and fun and let's just have a laugh. But if you keep the whole thing on the level of let's have a laugh, you can always go deep later. So your first kiss on the cheek, you could say, hey, I have an idea. Hey, let me show you something in my bedroom. Look, see that, right? For fun. You keep it fun, you laugh. So you meet the girl in the park or the bar, whatever, and you're like, hey, pretty girl, I like girls like you. You look pretty, fun, jokes, charm, etc., etc. You go on a first date with her, same guy. Second date, same guy. Third date, she's in your house or her house, whatever. Same guy, same fun energy. She goes into the bedroom with you, same, look at you, let's go. And the next day you wake up, you're with her, you're the same guy. You say, well, wow, what an incredible experience. I had an incredible evening with you. You're fantastic. You don't change. You can always become this lover boy, soul gazer later. I mean, I said a lot about that, but.
Yeah, this is, I mean, of the men I work with, so many are grappling with this kind of question. How do I be fun, but how do I be deep at the same time? And you answer it there. You actually start off as fun. So the whole context of your dating and relationship is fun, but then you can happen into deep things. You can go in and out of depth, but always come back to fun. And if you start off
always
with depth,
fun is your default. Yeah.
You know, you might be one of the people that I'm coaching or emailing with regularly that's like, I'm stuck in depth, and where do I get the fun? Because this turns into this bruising. Because when it's deep, it can be profound, but when it's deep, you also enter into all the conflict and attachment and all the other stuff that can
history
be actually really explosive. So
I mean, right.
I've been very deep into a lot of the kind of workshops and experiments where you become very fine-tuned to the subtle emotional and erotic energies in the couple, right? And people that want to go deep into how does attraction work and how does intimacy work, they pursue similar things. So speaking from that experience, what they basically always teach you to do, and it is helpful, it is very helpful because you can learn so many things this way, but they tell you to stand face to face with each other.
Yeah.
So you're front facing. So what we'll do is we'll walk around the room, and then I'll open my eyes and you're there, and then we'll stand front to front, face to face. We might close the eyes and then open the eyes, but the whole time you're in an eye contact. But as you're in the eye contact, the whole front of the body is open, and you can feel with the front of your body, and you can feel them with the front of your body. And that's how you start to really generate a lot of empathy and intuition for how the other person is. You're able to scan. If your body is an instrument, you're able to scan exactly where another person is at. And I found in me that there was a rapid learning of how I knew where my partner was at any particular time. I could feel in my own body her emotions, her level of sensuality, sexual openness, her attraction from me. I got this X-ray Jedi vision. Now, this is really, really cool. And I put a lot of that growth down to this front-facing thing. But when you're front-facing with a woman, you tend to start off in depth. As you're saying, you start off with this sensual, profound, deep thing with all of the benefits, but then all of the pitfalls that come along with that. And a lot of men who, like, you take a workshop, you do a weekend tantra workshop, and you come out the next week and you go to the bar and it's, you know, you assume the position with every woman that you speak to, and you get locked into these bubbles, and it's timeless and it's wonderful and all the rest of it. But what you teach, which I don't see taught by anyone else in this whole world, is what it means if you start off actually side to side with your partner.
Yep.
Right. So in 99% of the workshops all around the world, they're teaching you front facing, and you open your eyes and you do the front facing thing, you develop intimacy and depth, and it's beautiful. But one thing that's unique about you is you teach shoulder to shoulder, side to side. So she's standing side to side like this, and I'm standing side to side, and we have this joint vision in front of us, but also I have the sense of leaning over and whispering into her ear. And it's almost like in the body, this is the posture and the practice of lightness, humor, teasing, insinuation, mischief, which is an entirely different type of experience to intimacy, depth, presence, right?
And that's remarkable.
And
because,
so I say these two different modes are both useful. I don't want to slam the front facing because it gives so much. But if you go into every action like you're front facing, you get the experience that you said where people are taken aback because they're not ready for the kind of intensity or profundity that you're trying to offer. And actually one of the best moderating corrections that you could do is just turn to the side and give full relief of the need. Because when you're facing someone like this, they've got to take you in. They're going to have feelings of being with you. The whole nervous system's going to do what it does. They're going to get emotional contagion. They have to feel your state. And when you turn this way, they are relieved and escaped from all of that turmoil that your simple presence might provoke within them, right? So I think...
But you're still with them.
You're still entirely with them. But I think when you talk about you want to be an escape in her world, I think this is the posture of, in this posture, I'm an escape. In this posture, we're life partners and we're doing it together. You know, every single hurdle we will surmount. But like this, it's a freedom. And I think so many of the men that are learning wonderful how to go deep, they have no teaching for how to be side to side and how to turn your relationship from, or your dating of one of intense, almost menacing profundity from the outcome. Because a lot of guys are like, I can't find any woman who will connect with me. She has to do tantra, or she has to do these, authenticity workshops. Otherwise I can't relate. But 99% of the women and 99% of the cultures of the world are not going to go there because they grow up normal, right? So having this as something in your repertoire is fundamental, I think.
Excuse me. That was extremely well articulated. It's so clear to me. And like you said, it's not knocking anybody who's. But for me, metaphorically speaking, everything that from the day you meet her to the day you are buried together in the graveyard, 60 years later, should be metaphorically shoulder to shoulder, looking out here together. That's how it feels like it should be. And on your first date should be sitting side by side, looking at the menu together, brushing your shoulders so you're breaking the intimacy barrier, right? And you're looking out there. You're looking at look at that couple over there. Look at the waiter coming this way. You're looking at the menu together. Everything is intimately connected, but looking outward together. That's metaphorically how it should be in my mind. And for me, because some people, like you said, really want to have that hand on heart, I see you, intense depth of experience. And I want to be excited about life and the horizon and with my girl. Like I'm very, 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 very close and devoted to my sweetheart. And we never sit and like stare at each other. We're having a laugh and looking off the balcony, looking out there and remembering that. Remember that time we blah, blah, blah. And what are you excited about? And for me, it's always, and like I said, we might be doing a disservice to people to say this, because I'm not saying this is the way it should be.
Mm-hmm.
It's the way it feels right to me. And I cannot be that guy that sits and stares deep, longingly into your soul. I just don't have it. I've never studied anything tantric wise. I don't know anything about it. I don't know these types of meditative practice. I've never even done meditation. My meditation is to wonder and to think and be curious and like look out the window. Hey, what about this? So, which is not a knock on any of it, because I would think that most of the guys that come for coaching for us want to have that deeper want to learn how to have that, to foster that deeper connection on their dates with the women they meet, in the park, to show that they have arrived in the land of adults, that they have gravitas, and there's and they're forced to be reckoned with. And me, it has to be fun, light, excited, and wink, 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 right to the bed, right after the bed, like the next day, and the next dates, and your relationship with her, and you're fun. It should be fun and sprightly, and for me. So that's wow.
So I think we're saying that both of these postures, front to front or side to side, they both have their benefits, and they both have their limitations, which is, it can be too intense. Is there something,
or too frivolous?
Exactly. So I was going to ask, is there something you miss by being continually side to side? Are you evading perhaps a little bit of what she might want you to feel or to see in her?
Yeah, there's probably the danger of that, the risk of that, for certain. If you're in a relationship with a woman that really wants wants to draw you in to really be noticed, to really be seen, and but it still feels like you're doing that. I don't understand. I'm just thinking about my current relationship. I think that we're completely aligned, and across any distance, I really see her, and I'm really curious about her. I'm massively curious about my girl. I'm always wondering about her. Hey, what are you working on? What are you excited about? What are you excited about for the future? What are you looking forward to? That's how I talk to her. I want to know. So, and I'm very much engaged with her, but I don't have this profound tantric meditative staring, looking into her. I don't soul gaze. I don't look in her left eye. I don't do that. And I know that, I don't know how to do that. And it's not.
All kinds of interesting demons can pop up if you stare in the left eye for 40 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
So, I don't know, man. This last piece I think was really valuable. We took a bit of a diversion from where I initially wanted to go in this episode. So I'll take us there now. On the question of virility and vitality, I think there's aspects of this we'll have to pass on to another day. But one thing that's always seemed very curious to me and to a lot of people is when you go out at night, you say, women energize me. And just being in the vicinity of women, and you said it earlier as well, just the idea of a woman, the idea of a beautiful girl excites me, perks me up.
Yeah.
So, we've seen for years and years that you'll go out into nightlife, say there's an event in town, there's a lot of Amorati, some people are doing coaching with you and they've wanted to be out with you in the club or in the bar, and yet you are going until 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning when there are guys in their early or late 20s that call it a night at 1 or 2 a.m. Something happens with them and their vitality. So one of the questions is like, how do you fundamentally get energized by women in a world where a lot of men are drained by contact with other people, by women, by the pursuit? How do you do that? And then the other thing to explore perhaps is, why is it that young guys seem to lose their natural vitality when you would expect they would have an abundance of it, right? How does it happen that I get burnt out and I need to disappear from the club at midnight because I'm exhausted?
Somebody needs to explore this or research it or something, because there's the concept, and I don't have it fully understood or formed in my head, is the idea that some people are batteries and some people are generators, I have no internal energy source. If, like, for me to go to a pub for 4 hours with guys and just talk, I like the idea and I like the guys, but I can't stay long because I'm just like, I'm losing my energy. I'm starting to drift. But if there's a couple girls over there that are giggling, man, that 4 hours goes by like that. So, Kelly and I mean, I talk about Kelly all the time, but I remember many, many times, and Kelly and I are the same age, and we go out with guys that are, 20 years younger than us. And 5 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, these guys are like, I'm tapping out. I got to go, guys. I'm tired. And Kelly and I are like, are you kidding? Or the girls are just arriving. And it's, the witching hour is starting. And it's like, I've been on with bars and with Kelly till the last dog is hung, man. We never go home. And I really like that about him. Like, I respect that. Christopher's the same thing too. Christopher, he goes out, he never goes home. Let's go. I remember being in Brazil with him when I first met you 12 years ago, whatever it was. Christopher and I would go out to that little bar, and we would never go home till they turn the lights off. All right, let's go back to the hostel. But I can't explain it. Like, I do get energized, and I traveled with Hans for years. We'd go out every single where together, and he was the one that was dragging me out. And I'm like, let's stay in. And he would drag me out. Come on, let's go. And we'd go out, and he'd be all enthusiastic and go. And then he'd burn out at some point.
Yeah.
And he'd say, like, let's go. And I'm like, are you kidding, man? I'm just waking up. Let's go. We haven't talked to those girls over there yet. We've been talking to these ones here, and those ones have not been embraced yet. Something in me, but he was waning while I was waxing. You know what I mean?
He's more of a morning person. His energy is just focus on a different part of day. But you said, I mean, maybe something crucial here is you said there's the energy of girls that perks you up. You don't quite know how or why it happens, but you mentioned the word giggling. And I imagine if you go out to a bar and all the women are really stone-faced and closed off and not giggling, would that have the same effect?
No, because if you attempted to break them open a bit, and they just refused and just looked at you and blanked, that's like hanging around with dudes.
Right. No. So there's no openness. You try a little bit. No one is open at all. There's no energy there.
I have no desire to try and crack open a stern, pissed off, or indifferent girl. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to try and, she's probably a nice girl in the daytime. Well, I don't care. I'm not going to go up. Can you imagine any of the girls that you and I know, Jordan, that we hang out with? Can you imagine being bitchy to a guy in a bar who wasn't being offensive? He just came up and said, hey, I think can you imagine that? Why would I want to be with a woman who's bitchy to guys in a bar? She's self-selected away, or who has that no sense of redeeming reflection of fun. You want to be sincere and fun and, that kind of stuff. So no, it's like being with a bunch of guys.
I think there's something to this, because you said the word giggling. If a woman's energy, her real feminine energy, is a little bit open, point. If it's a little open or it's opening to you in that process of opening, there's something there. And if a woman is very open and giggling and in her full real femininity, I imagine there's a lot of energy that you feel there. And
good point.
Perhaps this is important because a lot of men will go into the club and they will think, well, I would like to talk to women. How am I going to go and talk to women? They perceive and they feel themselves fundamentally outside of a conversation with women. How am I going to get in? And typically what I know about guys who feel very, they have challenges and they suffer in this kind of environment. They do not actually perceive what woman is open and what woman is closed down. Like a lot of men are actually quite absorbed in their own thinking, and one thing they can't spot is open feminine energy versus closed feminine energy. And if they could see the difference, actually, then they would know what to gravitate towards a bit more and feel more alive and by it. But I sense a lot of men who really struggle with their energy in nightlife and dating as well. They see everything as a bit of a closed door, and they're not quite sure how to get in. And I think in that scenario, there's no way you can really feel the vibrance or the radiance that tops you up.
Yeah, I think that, and it's a bit more complex than that, because let's say you see a girl over there and she's on her phone. She's looking at her phone and she's like engrossed in her phone. Two things could happen if you went and said hello to her. She could say, what did you say? Oh, no, I'm okay, thank you. And look back at her phone. Or she could go open up. She didn't notice you. She's on her phone and she's receptive. You just don't know. So, guys say, well, how do you read the signals? You don't know. Sometimes. I'm fishing, man. I'm looking, I leave nothing to chance. My subcommunication, I'm writing a chapter in the book right now about subcommunication, which I always talk about. The book I'm writing right now. The idea that I leave nothing to chance. I have to try and see if there's anything there, which doesn't mean I'm going to walk over and, hey, girls, quick question for you. I don't do that. I'm approaching with my eyes from afar. I'm photon inducing. I'm sprinkling my energy out there, and I'm looking to see anybody who notices. I'm trying to will them to look my way. If I'm standing with you in the bar and I see two girls up there, I'm not going to walk over there, but I'm going to stand here talking to you shoulder to shoulder as I'm looking at them. And the moment one of them glances around, looks around the bar like this, I give her one of these. I see you, is what I'm saying. I let her know with my eyes and my smile and my demeanor that I see you and I like what I see. That's a microsecond. She reflects, or she picks up on it. If she flatly looks at me and looks away and goes back to her girlfriend talking, nothing changes, I'll never talk to her. I'll never go up to her. She just told me I'm not interested. She told me strongly, subconsciously, she told me, yeah, I see you looked at me. I'm not interested. If she changes her demeanor or the way she looks or the way she stands, or she starts smiling and talking to her girlfriend and whispering, or they both glance over, or she glances over again, or she touches her hair, or she straightens herself up a bit like this, boom. I would say that's a 75% chance that it's a receptive energy if I go there. So I'm looking for that. And I'm not going to, so the girl on her phone, I'm trying to will her to look at me. And sometimes they don't. But because I weaned myself into bars being this insecure guy standing alone that I was too nervous to talk to girls, I taught myself how to communicate from this way, from the far. That's how you do it.
What is it about her receptive energy? What does that make you feel when you get a sense that she's 75%
potentiality?
Receptive?
Potentiality, man. I feel like there's something electric in the air. She feels it. I feel it. I'm standing with Jordan. Hey, Jordan, you feel that too? Yeah, let's go talk to these girls. There's something delicious in that energy, and something comes alive that it was a potential before, or potentiality is dangling. When I see two girls walk in and they're smiling and they're talking to each other, they haven't noticed us. Something in me changes physiologically. Something in me, my stance. Here we go. I start to have this kind of rhythm in me, and like, Jordan, you feel that? You've been with me, right? And I start to like, okay, here we go. Potentiality. Maybe nothing ever materializes. Maybe it falls flat, but the electric possibility is what I'm addicted to. That possibility. And you don't know. And the wonder and the intrigue and the mystique. And then if it falls flat, it didn't work. Dang it all. Jordan, I'm standing with you again, brother. And if it does work, then it's fantastic. So I think the guys who love women, men who love women, which are a rare breed. A lot of guys say, oh, I love women. No, you don't. Not like this. When they enter the room, you're energized. Something in you kicks in of like, wow, there's potentiality in the air. They might be married. It might not be completely off limits. You don't know this yet.
Yeah.
But the potentiality that they're there, And I'm in relationship with a girl that I'm completely in love with. And two girls are walking to the bar. I'm standing with you. I have like the potentiality of just girls existing. They exist. And it makes me energized and happy that those two girls, maybe we never talk to them, but they exist in this world. And look at their little dresses. Come on, man. There's something along those lines that I'm not normal, I guess.
I think this is the crucial piece for a lot of people to understand, that I know the feeling 1,000,000%. You go out on a Wednesday night, for example, and the expectations are really low that anything's going to happen on Wednesday. And all of a sudden there's and you feel the potentiality. It's like, oh, actually there's someone, not just someone here, but I feel that. I feel her. I feel the dynamic, and everything is lifted to the heavens. It's like whatever happens is, and if it doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't matter, because at least you had an hour or two of feeling that
Correct.
potentiality, which is aliveness itself. and you can go home and punch yourself, and she left even before we really got anywhere or whatever it was, but it was like but
it was there.
But it's elating, very elating. I feel it in here, and it goes upwards towards the sky. Yeah. Okay.
It's not a disappointment. It's not a like, we should have gone and talked to him. What is stupid of us? I should have been, I should have tried to. No, it's like it's in the air. Something you gather something into your spirit, your soul that makes you younger, and feels and it's a very real experience and thing. The result is you loving the moment. That's the result. The result, maybe you meet this girl, maybe you marry her, maybe you have a weekend with her, or maybe not. But the result, measuring that result in a different way, which is you had the exhilaration of the possibility that fed you and nurtured you and create and talk to that small boy in you again. You get to be excited about that. That's very, very nurturing for you and very fulfilling.
So it's this is the energy that keeps you up till 6, 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Because my experience is if I'm flooded with this, I'm not going to bed anytime soon. I want to talk, or life is good.
Wide awake, man. I'm wide awake.
So I think the piece where if you're a man and you're looking to have more energy, or to keep going and to find some fundamental excitement or mojo with women, do you feel exhilarated by this moment of potentiality? Can you feel that the aspect in you that feels it? And if not, what needs to happen for you so you can clean out any sort of insecurity, anxiety, hurt from the past? Because I also have the experience of going out and I see a woman, there's potentiality, and the first thing that comes to my mind is, God, I feel that potentiality for a bruising. Probably she will take a drink and then run off with another guy. The experience-based thought loops kick up, and that's just, I think that's the real difference. You feel potential, that means it must be a good thing, even if nothing happens. But other men will feel that potential, and it's the very same exhilaration tinged with what they've known in the past makes that actually become a negative and a de-energizing experience.
Yeah, and I've known nothing. I've known that in the past too. I've been massively shut down and and run into brick walls and mean girls and stuff like that many, 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 many times. But I have this default. I default inside of. I guess it's because of my lack of opportunities when I was a kid and I was from the forest, and I have this sense of gratitude and wonder that I get to walk in the cities of the world and look at girls like that. How is that possible for this poor kid from the north? So something in me has a sense of gratitude that those girls exist. I really have that feeling. If I never talk to them, they walk by. I have a lot of gratitude to that. That's pretty cool. I think God is in His heaven. All is right with the world, and so my default perspective is potentiality of wonder and curiosity and possibility, where a lot of guys default because of their conditioning and what they've run into in their lives, the glut of really not nice women that they've run into all their lives. Their default is the potentiality is going to, if I go talk to them, it's going to be burnout again and a waste of time. And she's probably got a boyfriend and I'm too short for her and all these things.
And that's my
default to that.
That's my sense with the guys that go home so soon is, in the case that they're not an early riser, like you talked about, hands maybe just running off a different body clock. Typically they're not feeling that sense of potentiality quite as an exhilarating a way as you do. But more often than not, I think the very experience of going out into a social environment puts a lot of men against themselves. And it's the sense of, I'm going to use my will to try and have fun tonight and try and break through and make something happen. But I've also got these very enormous parts of me that remember what it was like to be hurt before. And then, how can you move forward when there's this amount of internal friction? And I think it's this inner friction that is tiring and has guys need to go to bed, right? I need to get out of here and
it wears you out. Yeah,
decompress.
It's anxiety. It's draining, life draining. It's energy draining. It's not a nice place to be. And a lot of guys are trying. I mean, we could have a coaching practice for years of guys just trying to get over that approach anxiety, which is the blanket term for all of these negated, pre-selected failures. You know, self-rejections. How do I get up my nerve? How do I get in state? You hear all these things, right? How do I?
You're not doing that.
What's my opening line?
I'm assuming, but I'm assuming that you don't have loads of pre-drinks and a particular ritual, so you hit the club with loads of energy. My experience is you go in the club with whatever energy is there, and then it slowly trickles upwards, like after you're inside. Yeah. So you're not doing any kind of pre-ritual to, be
my ritual is
approach the world with a particular state, right?
Like guys will say, "Oh, I don't like this bar because the music sucks." You could listen to the music at home. I don't go to the bar for the music. I don't understand that. I've never understood that the music sucks here. Let's go somewhere else. What are you talking about? There's girls here. Who cares what the music is? You could drink at home. You could listen to music at home. The only reason to go out is because of the potentiality of the social engagement. And if you don't have that, if you go to a bar and there's not girls, not fun. I went to San Francisco a bunch of times years ago. And we'd go to bars every night. No girls. No girls in San Francisco. I'm sorry, San Franciscans, but there was no girls. Where's all the girls? And yeah. So, I mean, like, if you don't have that, that's the only reason that I would ever go out. Like, I'd rather sit here and read a book. I'm not kidding. Than go out and to go out to drink or to go to listen to music at a bar. I have no energy for it. Why would I do that? That's me.
So we started off talking about virility. We've taken some different steps. We'll come back to the topic of virility in another episode. So if you have questions we haven't touched on, please send them in and I'll bring them to Zan and we'll hash them over. But I think there's one final piece to explore before we sign up. I'm having that moment when my brain starts winding down, right? And I forget the thing that I was about to ask you, which 2 minutes ago felt so crucial. But yeah, we'll edit this second out actually, because I need to check my notes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a couple of things. All right, I'm getting a lot of sunlight. Oh, it's that time of day. Let's see what we can do here.
That's better.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that I want to finish out with. One is on this topic of virility. My working theory is that a lot of men they identify virility with the physical body or the biological body. So anything to do with muscles or extensions or ice baths or patches or medicines, anything that can change the biochemistry in the body is bound to give more force somehow, more like I feel I sense a deficit of virile force. So I have to work it or take something in order to have more. But I'm
physically.
Physically, so that my biology is pumped up with more force, more aggression here. Yeah. But I also sense that there is a more emotional or spiritual way of working with virility, which is a more relaxed relationship with yourself and a more enjoying relationship with this sense of aliveness that you talked about before, this sense of potentiality. So, for example, I could take a lot of Tonka Ali and, do my 5x5 squats or whatever it is and have a cold shower and go out. Or if my own internal conversation about how I need to be in the club or how I enjoy women or how I can easily let go of my own saboteur or negative thoughts I sense that both of them actually have an incredible power and influence on one's virility, and that there is an emotional a philosophical relationship one can have with their own self that actually is enhancing of your sexual drive.
I think that you're right. I mean, there's physical practices, Wim Hof method, you know, all these kind of things, ice baths, testosterone shots, which guys might need. I mean, maybe physically your testosterone is cycled out, you know, and you need to, so no knock on anything. But for me, it's like the second bundle of things that you described, which is the fun of realizing that for me, it's like one of these days I'm going to be dead and I'm not yet. It's kind of like, you know, that kind of like makes, and there's girls in this world, and it makes me feel something in me that we talked about potentiality, but that potentiality carries through to the potentiality of me having the incredible physical, intimate experience with her. It doesn't have to happen. It's the idea, you know, that changes something, that excitement in your brain, dopamine rush or whatever, excites something in your body, excites something in the air around you, which I think probably gives, I don't know, a boost of testosterone. I don't know. So, right? I don't know.
So interesting. So the idea itself, the sense that you could predict or even just visualize the way that your physiology is going to change, because there is the potential of an electric, alive moment with a woman.
I say this to guys that I really respect, that the old cliche from the 70s is like, oh, you're undressing her with your eyes, you know, right? That was a cliche back in the 70s guys, you know, their disco sensibilities and their flared bottoms, you know, polyester pants and stuff like that. And they undressing her with their eyes. But the guys that I know that have a super abundance of women and really are loved by women and really love women are doing that all the time.
Yeah.
So like if a waitress comes up, I'm smiling. I'm with you and I'm ordering eggs, but I'm thinking, what would she be like in bed? That's what I'm thinking. She could be 60 years old, and I'm thinking, what was she like when she was young? And something in me shifts and hitches a little bit, and I'm not staring at her boobs. I'm not a pig. I'm not like aggressive. But the delight of knowing that I wonder what she'd be like in bed. If she's walking, I watch her walk, you know, and think, yeah. The delight of that kind of I'm always imagining women what they'd be like in bed naked, because that's what they do to you. Guys don't know this. Women are constantly trying to picture what it would be like to be in bed with you.
Do you do this visually? You have a visual image?
Yeah, but it's very subconscious. It's an automatic thing for me now, you know, or it always has been. I just like imagine. First thing that makes me hitch a little bit, the surprise gift feel that I have is, hey, I never saw you before. I'm with Jordan looking at my menu and look at you. That's over exaggeration. I'm not expressing that, but something in my eyes lights up because I'm imagining her, what she'd be. I'm not kidding. And she's walking away. I'm listening to you still, but I'm watching her walk away and thinking, what would she be like in bed? You know, what would that girl be like naked in my bed? What would it be like? That's a cool thing. You don't have to actually do it. But I'll tell you this, women know this. Women can feel this. They don't feel violated. They don't feel visually groped. They don't feel invaded. They feel seen. They feel desired, which is an incredible thing. And they feel that somebody sees them as beautiful. And they respond to men like that. They respond. That waitress will go away. You didn't stare at her. You weren't leering. You weren't a pig. You weren't any of this kind of stuff. She'll go away and she'll adjust herself and stick her boobs out a little bit more when she comes back.
So how do you embody that fully without crossing the line into lechery?
Internal. Just keep it to yourself. It's you. You're smiling. She sees me. What does she see? What do you see? Like a guy sitting across me would not have any clue. You would just see my eyes maybe sparkle and twinkle a little bit, and I'm smiling now where I wasn't necessarily before. But she'll feel that too. It's just, how do I not cross the line? I do not violate space. I do not invade her, her autonomy.
So the lech would be perhaps looking for a few added seconds that you're not, but even energetically, there would be a kind of encroachment, almost like his energy would follow her also out of the room a little bit.
Yeah, the difference is I'm like a little boy who likes nice things, and this looks like a nice thing, as opposed to a serious looking, longing, staring after her and watching her walk. That's creepy. I would not like that either. If the guy did that and he was staring at a girl like the way she's walking away, I'm like, come on, man, what are you doing? It's different, and the fine line is that neediness / desire dichotomy, right? And desire is when it's given freely as a gift, nothing in return. Just you like nice things and you want to express that with your eyes and your spirit, your demeanor. She'll feel it. Your friend will feel it, but nobody knows really exactly what's going on. It's just you feel it. Something changes in you, right?
Yeah, this goes back to the side to side bit a little bit, because if you're kind of front facing and your front is facing her as she walks away, it's like all your energy is investing in that direction. But if you're willing to just kind of go back side to side, it's that sense of longing or attachment or hope or expectation that she comes back and fulfills the energy that was promised in the first instance. You're relieved of a lot of that weight, so you don't turn your whole body in an expectation of, now we're really going to connect.
And there's no sexual overture and what. There's no licking your lips or going like this or hey baby. There's none of that feel. That's gross. Guys get it wrong. They think, oh, I'm being sexual. I'm looking at him. Hey. And they do this giggity thing, like, no. So maybe I'm doing a disservice because it's hard to describe, but I know it's like, yes, yeah.
All right, final piece. I'm not as well schooled in this as perhaps I could be, but there are the legendary practice of the Taoist masters who, at the ripe old age of 70 or 80, seem to have a bunch of young wives in their 20s. That there's something about the energy exchange that goes on there, as if there might be a life enhancement or a longevity that comes for an older man with one or many young women. Can you shed any insight on this phenomenon? Maybe it's just wrapping up everything we've spoken about over the last hour, but what's going on there?
Well, I think that for certain, like I talked in another earlier podcast about Henry Miller meeting that young girl that, when he in his old age, he was dying, and then he met her and he gave her 5 more years of writing and excitement of life. Hang on a sec. So I think that absolutely there's kind of two things. You can have this youthful, this has been around forever. Anybody in power in the history of the world, they have young girls, right? Whereas, but there's a lot to be said for having somebody that's in your life that did the narrative and the story with you. You know what I mean? That they went through the battles with you. They went through the highs and the lows and the ups and downs, and you're growing old together. And that's a different energetic response that you're receiving. You're receiving something really profound.
Yeah.
And really, which is a beautiful, 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 beautiful thing. Like when you're old, you can be surrounded by young girls, or when you're old, you could be with your beloved who's inspired you, been there for you, and you still see her with that in the youthful eyes that you saw her, So there's all kinds of stripes and paradigms and, but I think that, Ecclesiastes says, love the one you're with, eat, drink, and be merry. One of these days we'll be dead. We're not dead yet. So, yeah. you see these billionaires, these old billionaires, and they're with a 20-year-old girl. They're in their 70s. And she's saying, no, it's just love. We fell in love with each other. Right? I guess so. I don't judge. But I don't judge that kind of thing anyway. Because she's happy in that relationship. He's happy in that relationship. For whatever reasons they're happy. Who's to judge? Who's to say that's not right? Who's to say that he's old and she's young and that's not right? Who's to say that? Or she's just in it for the money. And what? She's happy. He's happy. It's better than these morbid, apathetic relationships where they just have secret contempt or open contempt for each other. What's a better relationship? So I don't judge. I don't say no. They shouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's also interesting in this day and age with so many women that have taken power over their lives, and how that shift is reversing in so many couples. Women dating men that are 25 years their junior as well. It's more and more of a thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's stick it on pause for here. If you have comments or questions, send them in. There's a whole bunch we didn't explore. We'll get to it next time. Thank you, Zan.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. Thanks, guys. Come find us. Come join our membership.